Hi, I'm Paige, one of the consultants here at SpinifexIT, and also genuinely one of their biggest fans. Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining. Today we're going to be talking about our latest software update, Release 1 of 2019, and all the new features you have to look forward to. So let's start by first looking at what's included in the upgrade for our flagship product, Easy Reporter. We're going to start with some notes regarding additional fields that you can now include in your reports. For those of you utilizing our SuccessFactors connector for Employee Central data, we have added data fields for one-time deductions, recurring deductions, and spot bonuses. Back on the payroll side, you can now include table PayR fields, which you will find on tab 2 inside of the folder for table RegUH fields, as noted here on the slide. We've also made some changes to the infotype reporting we created last year to meet the European Union's global data protection regulations. For one, the fields can now be dragged onto a report multiple times, which is very helpful for those times when you want to pull the data based on different dates into separate columns, but on the same report. We have also changed the configuration for the infotype field subtype so that it can be reported as either a code, text, or both. And finally, you will notice we have renamed the folder to be more in keeping with its functionality, changing it from GDPR reporting to the more generic infotype listing. Another area in which we have added new fields to report off of is the table U.S. tax from the U.S. payroll cluster results. 2 of them are listed here among many others that we have added. Our next change came about as a direct request from a customer, and I suspect there are more of you that will find it beneficial. Historically, our general ledger posting report fields have been pulled based on the posting date of the document. But with this release, we are adding flexibility to the selection so that you can also select based on the document creation date. And then the next item is in regards to our automated testing tool, which we introduced last year. This built-in tool gives our customers the ability to compare report results created before and after applying a SpinifeX upgrade, simplifying that task of regression testing. Earlier this year, we sent a video link to all of our North American customers demonstrating how to use the tool. If you haven't yet checked it out, I encourage you to do so. And if you have lost the link to the video, just let me know and we can resend it. Now, back to R1 of 2019. The change we have made that is relevant to the testing tool is that it's been enhanced to allow the comparison of runtimes and file outputs, like text or Excel files, in addition to comparing the standard ALV results. So we're going to move into the system now so that I can illustrate for you how to select your general ledger posting runs based on the creation date. And I've got a report for you that we're going to use for that. I just drill in here to my report. All right, so I have a posting report here. First thing I'm going to do is just run a variant that I have saved out there. So I'll click Select Variant, and we will run the report. So what you'll notice with my results, I'll go ahead and expand all of the rows. I'm pulling in some general ledger posting. And a couple things I want you to take note of are the dates. The posting date on all of these records is January 15th of 2009. The creation date was August 4th of 2010, which obviously those are kind of strange dates, but we are in a demo system. Now, that keeping in mind that January 5th of 2009, that's the date over on the Report Data Period tab that you notice is in here. So you can tell my selection was based on posting date. All right, so now let's look at how we've added some additional functionality. We're going to open the report in edit mode. All right, and now that we're in edit mode, let's look at tab 1. And we're going to the other settings. This is what we've introduced new with our release. If I scroll down just a bit, we have a new field, and actually let me go up just a little bit. This is under the other report settings. Selection of finance posting dates. There's a checkbox. So by default it's not checked, but if I check it, now go over here to run the report. What you're going to see is different is the report data period tab has a new section on it. It says additional selection for posting dates. There's a drop down associated with it. By default, the drop down says finance posting results based on posting date, which of course is our default function. So if I go run my report right now, still running my same variant, I'm going to anticipate the exact same output I had before. So I'm still doing it by posting date, and that is what I have here. If I were to expand all the rows, you would see these are the same results we had before. But let's go back over here to the report data period tab and use some of this additional functionality that we're introducing. I'm going to change it to say finance posting results based on created date. So now I'm looking for created date. If I leave it January 15th of 09, when I go run my report, I don't think I'm going to get any results, and I did not. So I didn't have any posting docs out there with a creation date of January 15th, 09. Now if I go back and change this to August 4th of 2010, now I should be back to the point where I'm selecting that original posting doc that I was looking at. So running it in this way, we're back to the same results we had before. So your items to be aware, you do have to trigger this on tab 1, other settings. You click the box to make that drop down available on the report data period tab. Then once it's on there, you can pick create a date, posting date, or both of them working in concert together. And then it's going to read your date that you put up here based on those parameters. So I hope you find that helpful and maybe add some flexibility to your reports. So we're going to return now to our slides. All right, so here we go. My final release note for Easy Reporter is a really exciting one. It's great news for any potential customers that are listening. What we've done is created a starter pack version of the tool, providing the user with a set of commonly used pre-delivered reports to allow them to purchase a more limited product and perhaps try it out before committing to the full package. The 15 reports in the package cover a range of common report needs, such as employee master data, payroll register, running a pay-to-pay comparison, and timesheet reporting, to name a few. So let's move on to our next product to discuss, which is Easy Clone. Only 2 items to mention on Easy Clone, both of which are shown on this slide. First off, if you utilize Employee Central for your master data, you will notice we have made the user interface when copying Employee Central data a little more user-friendly. We've also extended the use of the job splitter to include doing Employee Central data copies. And last, we have made the tool available in the French language. Our next product to discuss is Easy Balance, in particular the US version. Our one big change for Easy Balance is in reference to the W-2 box 10, 11, 12, and 14 amounts that are included in our W-2 explanation document. Previously, those codes assumed that all amounts included were deducted from the employees, ignoring the fact that sometimes an employee receives a refund. With 2019 Release 1, those refunded deductions will now be accurately picked up and netted into the box totals. So that was only one change for Easy Balance, and in a similar manner, we only have one change to tell you about regarding the SpinifeX Payroll Control Center integration. It's an important one though, as you can now utilize your SpinifexIT implemented Payroll Control Center for off-cycle as well as regular payroll runs. Those validation rules, often called policies when referenced in the PCC, now allow for checking the results of off cycles. utilizing the same SpinifeX Easy Reporter reports originally configured for the regular payroll results. And by the way, if you aren't familiar with how we integrate into SAP's Payroll Control Center, I encourage you to contact us for a full demo of that functionality. What we have done is basically replace the standard SAP ABAP logic with our Easy Reporter engine, resulting in a much more robust control center that at the same time is a lot easier to maintain. Now, another product of ours that's really going to wow you is our cloud-based document generator, Strato. Strato is one of our newer product offerings, and in just the few years since its inception, we've made it a top priority, pouring countless resources into its development. As you know, computing in the cloud and the idea of software as a service are here to stay. So it's a primary focus for us to remain relevant in that business climate, and Strato is one of the ways in which we're doing that. With every new release, we provide additional functionality and enhancements, and our first release of 2019 is no exception. And note, since Strato is an online application that we can push updates to without requiring any involvement from the customers, the changes I'm about to show you have actually been in place since February 20th. So here are a few changes you will see. The first one is just a simple format enhancement, adding the date format of day dd/mm/YYYY as an option for users building documents. The second item on this slide sounds a bit technical, referring to quote-unquote field groups, but here's the gist. You all can envision what a data field for a document is. For example, all the data fields for an employee's address. With this enhancement, two different field groups can be linked in such a way that one grouping, maybe the group of all the emergency contact data fields, is considered the primary data source, but a second grouping, like perhaps the group for permanent address fields, is indicated to be secondary. What this does is tell the document to first look for the primary group, like emergency contact in our example, and report those fields. But if not found, go ahead and report from the secondary grouping. So let's take a look at a Strato document now so I can show you an example of one of those field group merges. And what we're going to look at is right here under Field Settings. So I'm going to click on that, let it load. And I do need to pick a catalog over here. We're going to drill into the Employee Data Catalog. And if I scroll down just a tad, you will see there's a new option here that says Create Merged Field Groups. So I'm going to click on Create Merged Field Groups. And I'm going to pick a couple different ones here. So I'm going to pick a grouping that's going to be the primary and another grouping that's going to be the secondary. And what I think I will go with is phone information as primary, email information as secondary. So basically what I'm saying is I want as contact information, which is going to be on my document, I'm going to have a field for contact information. I want it to be their phone number, but if that's blank, put the email information. Now I'm ready to click the next button. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now I've drilled into each of those groupings, this one being the phone number grouping, all the fields that are available. And then on the right side is everything available for the email information grouping. And I'm going to go in here and pick the exact fields that I'm interested in. So I'm picking phone number, and I'm going to click the next button. Now you could pick more than one field from each list, and you don't have to pick the same number of fields from the left as you do on the right. Say I'm just doing a very simple linking of phone number to email address. So that's what you're seeing here is you're seeing phone number, email address are in alignment with each other. So they're considered the two fields that are offsetting each other in this logic. For my output, I have the ability to say like a description that I would want tagged to this output. So I'm going to call it contact info. I then can separately from that give my field group a name. It might be contact info, or maybe I want to describe it a little differently. I'm going to call it phone/email. That's what's going to show up when I go to build my document and use this field. I want a description that's going to make sense to me so that I will find it in my list of possible fields. So now that I have done that, I have to hit my enter button. I get my save. I would click save here, and this is going to build my field group. So it's built me a group called phone/email, and inside that group is the definition that says use this field from the phone number. That's primary. If it's not available, use the secondary option, which is email. And then I would just have to drag this particular field onto my report, and I could utilize it that way in my document. So hopefully that makes a little sense to you. And obviously we have all of this documented in our online portal. All of our documentation exists there, including Strato, and so you would be able to get back to these steps and review them again. So continuing with enhancements for building documents. This next one has to do with replacing a particular value or values with an image. For example, pulling in the data field for gender, and then if it's M, instead of populating the document with an M, you populate it with this picture that relays the same information, but maybe in a more fun or descriptive way. And what I have in this document are links, okay, URLs to images. So for example, I have a male stick figure, a female stick figure. If I click on the male stick figure, what it's taking me to, there, I get my link to work. I just went out on the internet and found this particular image. Looks like that. And I did the same thing for female. So URLs linking me to these available images. So keeping that in mind. I'm going to go back to my dashboard. Well, let's see, there we go. Got it refreshed. All right, going back into field settings again. And we're still in the employee catalog, which is where we created that field grouping. This time, we're just going to create a new field. So I scroll down, I have an option here. Before we were creating merged field groups. Now we're just going to create a new field. All right, so here's how I set up my field. And these are the things that you need to know in order to set it up so that it will link into a picture. So I give it a name, and I'm just going to call it gender image. Then I'm going to give it a field type. And what's important here is this is a formula value. Display as image, I turn on. Under function, I need to select replace. This is where you can, if you were setting up a different kind of field, you can do mathematic, functions as you see here, concatenations. You've got like addition, subtraction, but we have a function called replace, and that's what we want to select here. Then let me scroll down just a little bit. I need to add some parameters that define what I'm replacing. So for this particular one, I have to click on field value here, that little tag. That will allow me to pick from my report. So let's see, we are replacing gender, and gender is under personal information. Drill into that, gender. Okay, so there is the field from the data field catalog, the field for gender, and here I'm going to define it and say I'm going to replace M with, this is where you would copy in your URL. All right, so that would go right in there. So that's my link. And in the same way, I would do a plus here, and I would say I'm replacing a value of F, and I would go grab that other URL for the female little stick figure that I wanted. So now in my document, if I embed this field in my document, it's going to look at gender, but it's going to not actually put like the M or the F. It's going to put the picture based on the value that I have linked in here. So that's pretty neat, I think. And I hope that that gives you something that you can play with as well. I'm just going to hit cancel here. We don't really need to create that field. Let's go back to our slides and see what else we've got for you. All right, so another technical enhancement to Strato has to do with embedding table sections into your document where your data is displayed in a table format rather than a text paragraph. Older versions of Strato only allowed the tables to extend in a vertical fashion, but the functionality has been enhanced so that tables now can be defined as either horizontal or vertical in nature. The other enhancement listed here is in regards to sorting, and it works like this. If you're reporting on a field that has more than one possible value, you can set a sort parameter on that field so that you control which possibility is found first. Then your document will just include that first retrieval. So I thought I would take a minute to show you the setting to change your embedded table into horizontal alignment rather than the defaulted option of vertical. So for that, we need to go back up here to our dashboard. I'm going to go into my document template library. So I'm going to a template that I already have out there. You scroll through my templates, my Strato document templates, and we're going to look at this one, the HMO benefit enrollment. So let me pull that up. I know I'm going kind of fast here, but this is all what you learn when you learn how to utilize Strato to build your documents. So I'm looking at the edit capabilities. I'm inside the edit mode for this document. And I have a section down here that says your current list of HMO dependents are, and that's actually a table section for this document. And I know it's a table because if I click on it and I go over to section settings, it shows me right here that this is a table versus a text. Once you create a table section in a document, down here under the little continuation buttons for the menu, you will have the ability to go into table settings. Now, if it's a text section, you won't have this particular icon. But on tables, you do. And if I click on table settings, you can see one of the settings is the ability to change it to a horizontal table. And in fact, what I can do is you will keep your eye on the content over here. I'll show you what happens as I change it. If I say display as horizontal, notice how it changed the direction of the table, where the relationship, the first name and the last name are here, data out to the side. If I flip it back, those items are now column headers. So relationship, first name, last name. By default, this is my vertical. Change it to horizontal, moves them to the left-hand side, and you have your columns going out to the right with the data. Okay, so that's something new. So you will find that if you have any documents that you've already created and you want, and they have tables in them, you now have the ability, or if you create some brand new documents, now you're going to have the ability to have a little bit more flexibility with how you display your tables. Our last comment regarding Strato, that's to make you aware that we're now updating the software on a monthly basis, which allows our customers to benefit quickly from the ongoing product enhancements. The final topic today is for our Australian customers, and it's in regards to our recently introduced product, Easy Single Touch Payroll. Easy STP, as it's called, was released with our final upgrade of 2018 to address government reporting requirements. R1 2019 does include an enhancement to our Australian product, Easy STP, making it possible for the associated reports to be created before the payroll control record is moved into exit status. Now that does bring us to the conclusion of our webinar today. I hope you've learned a lot about what's coming with Release 1 of 2019. If you have any questions, feel free to message me directly at pelkins@SpinifexIT.com, and I or another consultant will get back with you. Thanks again for joining.